Welcome everyone to this webinar about leadership in challenging times. Together with me, I have my colleague Thomas Andersson. He will introduce himself in a minute, and he is the main facilitator to this session, and I will be supporting him during our journey in this next hour. My name is Valeria Hill, for the ones who doesn't know me. I am in Group HR, heading the Leadership Academy, and arranging some of the webinars related to leadership in the SKF Stronger initiative. And my pleasure to present Thomas Andersson. He has been the facilitator for the Managing, Lead and Coach. It's a course, a popular course that we have in SKF since many years. So I will hand over the word to Thomas. And Thomas, please, welcome.
Thank you. So I'm very happy to be here. It's a pleasure to work with you, Valeria, and also to kind of review some of the manage, lead and coach skills and connect it together with challenging time. So a little bit more about my background. Yes, I'm running manage, lead and coach. I also was part of designing it and also done lots of team development. For example, here in the production channels in Gothenburg. So you in this session today, there's a core agenda. It's both about yourself, self-awareness, self-management, and that's extremely important, of course, in challenging times. Because in challenging times, we have a tendency to go back to our, basic patterns. So we need to be more aware in challenging times. And the second part is about tools. And I'm going to base it on the manage, lead and coach concept to pick out parts of it that we find very useful in challenging times. So you that have taken the training before, you can see it partly as a review and also refresh some of the tools. And for people not taking the training, well, please take the training in the future because it's very valuable. Doesn't matter if you're a product manager, line manager, it can be very useful as a basic principles in leadership here. So we're going to turn off the camera, and at one point we're going to turn it on again. So let's get going on this journey together here. I guess most of you actually know this person, Winston Churchill. He was the British Prime Minister during the Second World War. And he got famous because at that point, when he was the Prime Minister, there was a rough time for United Kingdom. But he inspired people, he pulled together the country, and he also got famous because of his quotes, his leadership quotes, his kind of philosophy. So if you look at one quote here, the person who accepts the leadership must also accept doubts and being alone. Isn't that about self-management? Yes, it was. But externally, and he was leading a country, you need to show courage, strength, and decisiveness. So if we look at this, because for him and his country at that point, it was really challenging times, wasn't it? So to make it more alive, this webinar, I want you right now to sit down and reflect on right now when there are more challenging times around the globe. What is your personal challenge when there is a challenging time? Take a half a minute, step back, because if you connect with your challenge, the webinar will become even more useful for you. And if you're brave, please write it down in the chat, because the challenge personally can be different. For some people, it's to be firm on a goal where you want the team to be in 6 months' time. For other people, it can be to handle the employees, your team members' feelings. And sometimes it can be maybe some challenges inside you, stress and pressure. So let's look at this. So if you're taking an outside-in view here, leadership in challenging times, where does it all start? So assume that something unexpected happens. A new virus, for example. and you are working hard in a factory or a headquarter, but there are some external things that may disrupt you. It might be disruptive technology, the marketplace became a global depression, the great competitor comes up. And what happens then? Your great business plans get disrupted. Maybe you felt very proud together with your team about your business plan, but it gets disrupted. What happens then? Your team, of course, needs to adjust to this change. And it can be hard. It takes some time for most people to adjust because we don't want to adjust. Because we want to continue on with our great plan. And also, you also need to develop the team because the team cannot continue as before because the marketplace has changed. So it needs to be developed too. And who is responsible to develop your team and get it adjusted? Congratulations, it's you. So you can see this disruption, this challenging time as a catalyst for yourself as grow as a leader. The truth is, this is the biggest opportunity to you to grow as a leader. Because when everything is comfortable, predictable, it's much easier to be a leader. But when there's a challenge, your patterns, maybe your weaknesses and strengths are going to be more clear. So I want you to take this opportunity when there's challenging time to grow as a leader. So this is why we're here.
We have some comments coming in the chat that people are talking about different situations require different ways of handling. Motivation can be a challenge at the moment. Prioritization can be a moment. So I think the tools that you are bringing to us today will help us to think when to apply them in which situations. And I think someone said here in the chat about the way the person handles it's a bit different than how the team handles the situation.
Exactly.
And I think we will touch a little bit there around empathy when you come to that point.
Very good point. So let's look today both how you can help individuals to move through changes in a better way and also the team. And you will see also that when you have challenging times and you really confront them in a good way, the team will also develop and also get motivated by itself. But first, let's look at what happens then. You get in these outside-in forces, disrupting your business plan. Why is it so important to deal with it consciously? Because there are possibilities for your team, but also risk for your team. So if you deal with it consciously and help the team to grow, develop, to adjust, you have the opportunity to really become a united team, to become a we, both in the performance, the way of working, but also energetically and also on a feeling level. If you don't deal with it consciously, the risk is that people are going to feel more separated from each other. And when people are separated, they start to look after themselves, they just do their own tasks, and maybe even look for another job opportunity. You also have the possibility to increase the self-confidence as a team when it's a challenge. Because if a team can meet the challenge and overcome it, of course, they're going to feel more self-confident. And the other way around, if you don't succeed, the team going to feel disempowered and maybe even becoming afraid for the next big challenge. With self-confidence comes also a higher energy level, and then, of course, you can perform even better. But if you don't meet the challenge, people are going to feel more tired, demotivated, and just hope the challenge will disappear. So this webinar is about to meet these challenges consciously. So we have a simple here model what happens to people in your team? There are some unexpected changes. And if you look at this simple model, first of all, the team is successful, things are going well, you're increasing the market share, people are content, satisfied, and feeling successful. Then what happens when something unexpected happens is people in general go a little bit into denial. They don't want this to happen. So they're becoming a little bit blind. It's a defense mechanism because it's hard to change ways of working when things are going well. Good example is Nokia, how they handled when Apple came out with a new iPhone. They couldn't react as a company because they were so successful. They had 40% of the marketplace, but they were in denial. I thought the iPhone and the whole way of working as a phone will disappear. But after denial, something happens. It is when you wake up, you're going to be confused. And why? Because your old way of working is not working and your new ways are not established. So you're in a place of confusion, you're not establishing new ways. So if you feel confused, I normally say, congratulations, you're growing and it's painful and it's difficult, but you will come through it if you establish this new way of working. And when you're coming through, it's going to be a relief and you're going to feel inspiration to go to the next level. So this little model is showing actually that different team members can be at different places at the same time. Some people can be content, some people are denial, and some people are already started to move in confusion. So you need to help each one to move through these steps. You can even speed up through going through it. But most scary can be if the team leader, you, are in denial, because then you cannot help the team to move through these phases. All right, it's a simple model, but it's useful. So don't be surprised when people react in different ways. But what do they need then? The different team members from you. They need that you're honest and give them the facts, even if it's brutal. Research is saying that if team members get the real facts, even if it's really rough, they are more likely to empower and meet the challenge. Otherwise, they're going to second guess, and we don't want that. People don't have problems with the brutal facts. They have more problems when they feel there is something that's not said. They also need that you believe in them, that they can actually grow through the challenges. Because some of these people, have self-doubts. So you need to express you believe in them and help them to believe in themselves. If you're really skilled as a team leader, you can do that. They also need to be treated as human. They have their worries, thoughts, maybe even scenarios in their heads and feelings. They need to be heard. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's the other way around. You need to take that into account to be successful in challenging times. And you need to make sure that you, together with the team, creating an attractive future, maybe 6 months from now, and then stay on it, be firm on it. They also wants to be involved in deciding the way forward. As more there can be that, you're going to get ownership, you're going to get motivation in the team. So you don't need to be the big boss that decides everything just because it's challenging times. You need to think differently. Ask the teams to step up, and they will. And sometimes it can be rough for you. Show your humanness, be authentic, and ask for help. You can just say, well, we have a challenging time here now, and I need your help. And people will step forward. So if the team members need this from you, how can we then use manage, lead, and coach the concept to meet these needs? So in the next 20 minutes, we're going to work with that. So I'm going to do a short review first of the concept, the leadership concept, manage, lead, and coach. I'm going to use a metaphor of a river journey. For the people that are taking the training, that's going to be just a review. But it's very useful to think about team development as a river journey. It's a process. We have a team here. There are some challenges in front of the waterfalls, some stones, maybe even sharks in the water. There are two aspects using manage skills. It is to increase your ability to set the direction, making it alive, motivating, clear. You're making sure that people understand it. Never ask, have you understood the goals of the team? Because people will say yes. Ask instead, what is your understanding of the goals where we're aiming for? So you find out that you have the same understanding. The second aspect of manage is to manage the framework. Symbolically, it is the riverbanks. It's the process and policies you need to follow. You have a budget on the journey, and also you have values that you need to take into account. So we want in this concept to move away from micromanaging, to tell them exactly you shall do A, B, C, D when you meet the waterfall. And we trust that people have ability to grow, to develop, and solve their own problems together. Because if you set really clear direction, it's very easy then to use lead skills. Lead skills is to bring out the best of a team. You ask a team to explore the challenges. What kind of challenges do we have in front of us the next 5 months? Let's look into that together. And for each one, let's see how we can overcome them. So we can be proactive. We can agree on the journey forward, making decisions. And by itself, you're going to create ownership. And maybe we even commit on goals on the way forward. In challenging times, lead skills is the most powerful way of being a leader. People want to be involved. They want to feel that they can impact their own future. But on the way forward, there are some people maybe hesitating, a little bit worried. You need to help them to grow too. And you have excellent skills in coaching. We call that to release the potential, to bring out the best in individuals. So they are empowered, taking initiative, contributing. And on the way forward, you bring out the best by appreciating them and recognize them. So a skilled manager using all three of manage, lead, and coach in balance. Not too much of each one and not too little. And then the journey forward will become pretty easy, Valeria. Don't you think so?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Fully agree.
You fully agree. Yep, so there was a quick review of the concept. To be able then to move forward here, to use the skills, we have a concept in the training we call the leadership platform. Because who you are in the moment when you use the skills gonna impact the team a lot. Because if you are present, if you're in command, if you're strong, people will pick that up energetically from you. And if you are on your platform, it's easy for you to step back and see the big picture. So you don't become too operational, too stressed, too reactive. So if you have the habit to step back and see the big picture, then you're using your leadership platform. And then out from that, you can see this is the direction we need to go as a team, or you need to involve your team to decide the direction and be firm on it. So during challenging times, the platform is extremely useful, because the tendency is in challenging times that we're not using the platform. We are instead working too hard and becoming too busy and maybe miss the big picture. There is an aspect of it, because when you are in your potential, that's the same thing as being on the platform. And if you can stay in it, the team will rise also up if they see the team leader being present, energetic, and they will face more the challenges together. But if you start to get tired, not motivated, falling down, well, the team may fall down too. So if the team says, well, I think this is hopeless, you may think, yeah, I agree. So to be on the platform during challenging times is very important. But it's very human to fall off the platform. Have a strategic view, but sometimes this happens that we're falling off the platform of different reasons. And I would like to involve you, Valeria, here. I'm a little bit curious, you know. But what can make you to fall off the platform?
Well, can be different situations. And but one example could be having too many priorities or a lot to do, and sometimes lack of resources. That can make me feel a little bit stressed.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And I'm a little bit curious then, because that's very human to react that way. But I'm very curious about, if you're falling off the platform, how can you get back again?
Well, I think it's reflecting a little bit the small warning signs and try to step back and see what's going on here, what is really priority, if everything looks priority.
Okay.
Try to take a step back and see how I can be a bit more in control of my situation.
To step back.
Yes.
Well, it sounds pretty easy, but I guess it isn't so easy to step back.
No, definitely not.
No. So what is the sign in your daily working life? There's a sign that it's time to step back and reflect.
Well, to me personally speaking, it's feel that my sleep pattern starts to be affected.
Your sleep patterns.
I can wake up in the middle of the night and having a little bit difficult to fall asleep again. So it feels that something is a little bit on too much, and that's when I need to step back. And I try to pay attention to those signs.
Okay. So this is important. So these signs, like in your case, the sleep pattern is a message to you. It's time to step back. Maybe it's too stressed, and maybe it's too reactive. Because to be able to get back on your platform, that's extremely important to find your way. That's actually your power. You need your power when you're also falling off the platform. It's easy to be powerful when everything goes well, isn't it? But the real power, it is you're going well, you're falling down, but how can you come back up again? So I want you to reflect on it. What is your unique way of coming back? Because everyone has their own way. And please step forward and write it into the chat so we can see some of your favorite ways to come back.
Yeah, let's share, because we can get some inspiration from the colleagues, how they manage to get back to the platform.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm curious how they do that. So when we're waiting, Valeria, I can tell you, do you know what is a sign for me that it's time to step back? It's actually my wife is complaining about me. You look tired. You're not present with me, you know? Yeah. And then my way of go back to the platform is to drive out to the sea, actually. Yeah, sitting there on a mountain and let everything fall away.
Very good, Thomas. Thanks for sharing. Here we can see some colleagues sharing their reflections here. Go for a long walk and reflect. And let's see, I saw more here. Take 5 minutes to reflect. Lunch walks, talking to colleagues, friends, getting another view. I think that's very good when you have someone with another perspective. It helps you to get your perspective. Also nice, so many comments coming in. Talk to a friend. Have a nice little tea ceremony. Gardening. Very good.
To do a tea ceremony, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice, yeah.
Try not to fix all the problems. Personally, meditation, relaxation.
Okay. Great.
Very good. I think all of us, we have some mechanisms. It's just what works for us, but it's always good also to get some how other people handle. And I think that shows how we are all humans, and we have our moments that we fall off, and we have also to try to find ways to get back, because we will be there from time to time.
Yeah. So this part here, the leadership platform, that's about self-management. And self-management, very much from my experience, it has to do with self-awareness, because you need to be aware as a leader. Because if you're not aware, you are on autopilot. You do the same leadership patterns you did a week before or a month ago, and it's only a person that is conscious, that is aware, that can change the patterns. And if you're not aware, you may end up in the river, which symbolically is very operational, very reactive, just solving problems. So the leadership platform can take you up to get a strategic view in challenging times. So you and your team will end up in the right place. So if you are at your best, then it's much easier to use the skills in manage, lead, and coach. So we're going to look into both coach skills and lead skills, and I picked out some parts that can be useful in challenging times. So let's look at coach skills first here. Coach skills, they are excellent in some way to bring out the best in people. I've been working with many organizations, and I would say that no organizations is not using coach skills. Well, the other way around. All organizations are using coach skills as part of the leadership. Why? Because it works. It's very pragmatic and also moves the responsibility to people so they can grow, to develop. On a deeper level, we call that to release their potential, to bring out the qualities, abilities that is hiding there in the potential. So you need to be skilled to really listen, not superficial, listen underneath the iceberg, as we call it, and then ask questions. So the person gets insights, more awareness, and then act on these insights. And the word is very much you. How can you solve this challenge? What can you do differently that you never done before? How do you need to grow as a leader to handle that challenge? Questions like that helps the person to get insight and awareness. So in challenging times, people are becoming more reactive. The problems becoming bigger. So assume right now we have a leader here that is using coach skills, and an employee comes with a problem. As more the employee talked about the problem, it becomes bigger, because what you focus on in life will grow. What do you need to do as a leader then, so you don't take on the problem? You need to do something we call mirroring. It means like you're reflecting back what you're hearing on a deeper level from the employee, both the problem and also the other person's thoughts and feelings. It can sound like, well, John, if I understand you correctly, you felt that you have too little time in this change process, and you're very frustrated that you are kind of pushed now. Is that correct? You always ask, end with, is that correct? Or have I understood you correctly? Because sometimes you mirror in the wrong way. If you're really skilled as a manager, using mirroring, people will feel really seen and heard by you and come to you. But it's not enough to just listen to people's challenges, problems. You need to take a step forward and say, well, now I understand the problem. But how would you like it to be then? Let's see if we can find a way forward. Questions like, how would you like it to be in the future? Is everything was possible? What would it mean for you personally if you came to that point? You started to set the target. So this little slide helps to take a person that's more reactive, negative, passive, to a more empowered state here. So we have an opportunity now, because I'm going to be an HR manager here right now. And I'm sitting here in my office. And I have one of my employees here. She's walking around in the office and she has looked worried the whole morning. But now I can see she's coming to my office.
Hello, Thomas.
Hello, hello.
Thank you for your time. I asked this meeting with you because I feel a little bit stressed. It's too many things to do. And now with this situation when we have some reduced hours, working 40%, it feels like everything still needs to be done. And that's, I have a little bit difficult to prioritize. I wonder, how can you help me?
Of course, you know. Well, I'm very happy that you came to me, you know, yeah, because I really like our openness back and forward. So thank you for coming to me. And I noticed that, if I understand you correctly, this work reduction had created stress for you and also some difficulty to prioritize. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. That's the way I feel.
That's the way you feel, yeah. So let's look into the future then. You know, if you solve this, how would it look like ideally in 2 weeks' time? How is your working situation then?
I would like to have it clear after this meeting what I should really focus on, what you expect from me, to align our expectations. Because sometimes I feel I'm running around and I'm not sure if that's what you expect. That creates this feeling, is it correct to focus now? So it takes some of my energy. Okay. So I would like to have it clear.
Clear, okay. So you feel a bit insecure about priorities and also my expectations then?
Yes.
So if it was clear, both your priorities and also the expectations between you and me, well, what would it mean for you personally?
I think that would help me to focus and get more energy. So to canalize my energy in a more proper way. Okay,
that sounds really important, doesn't it?
Oh, yes.
Okay, so let's take 10 minutes right now then to help you to see where we're going, the priorities that you need to take to get there. Okay.
Let's go through.
Okay.
Thank you, Thomas.
Thank you. Well, at this point, the conversation continued in a different room. But I just wanted to show how you moved here from a problem to empower the person to actually to deal with it. In different slide here to make it more general. Sometimes a change appears. 40% work reduction, a new virus, a new disruptive thing happening. What happens to us then? There is an instinctual part of us I call status quo. We all have that part in us. It can be more or less strong for different individuals. That's part in us like things should be the same the next week as the week before. We know what we have. and we don't want to rock the boat. That part in us likes when life is predictable, we have a sense of control and command. Maybe you're even content. Status quo has a tendency directly when a change is coming to see the difficulties. What will happen now with me? What can I lose from this? What can go wrong? And that's the part that resists. So if you wonder why people are resisting, this is the answer. It's triggered status quo, the change. And it can be extremely important for you to know what to do then. Because it doesn't work to argue with status quo and tell status quo this change is very, very good for SKF or your business plan, because status quo will argue back with you. You need to do it in a different way. You need to let go of your agenda temporarily and start to listen and explore with your empathy, with your heart, what's going on inside the person. To be a human with other human. That's what I need. It can be questions like, Valeria, so this change, how does it impact you? What do you need from me? What do you need from the other team members to move forward? So please tell me. So you have an open conversation. And if you're really listening without trying to change the person or the person's thoughts, feelings, the resistance will lessen and maybe even disappear, because people want to be treated with respect, both with their thoughts and their feelings. If you've done that, the next step in the order is to start to empower the person. You can tell them, okay, this change is happening. What can motivate you to get going with this change now? What kind of strengths did you use, Valeria, the last time that you can use in this change? What kind of new possibilities are there in 6 months' time? And I really appreciate your way of building the team and the team atmosphere. How can you use that during this time of change? So second step about empowerment. And a third step, which is simple, but also brilliant in its simplicity, is to get the person to make one simple step towards the change. And also quick. Simple, because if you're making 2 big plans, 3 or 4 action plans, the person may go into resistance again. And quick, because you want to get the person moving towards the change. In this case, 10 minutes ago, I asked Valeria, let's spend 10 minutes right now to see what can we do right now. So this little sequence is a brilliant way of using core skills. Change is happening. The status quo is triggered. We all have that in us. You need to be treated as a human, to be understood, seen, and then empowered, and then start to move to take action towards the change. So core skills is an excellent way of empowering people, individuals. So let's move over to some lead skills. I'm going to go through 3 different tools here that you can take with you from this webinar. So lead skills is about the team, to empower the team, to get them motivated, to get them on board, to bring out the best of being a team. You change the words from you over to we. What can we do together to tackle this issue? How do we need to grow as a team to overcome this challenge? What did we learn 2 years ago when there was disruptions that we can use now? You're gathering together the team to make it more united and stronger. You need to think differently about the communication. Because traditionally, somebody asks a question, well, the manager answers. Let's manage to give advice, to give a recommendation, taking decision, that's manage. If you do too much of that, all focus is going to be on you. There is not much group dynamic, is it? You need to think differently about communication to be successful with lead skills, to be successful, to bring the team together. Somebody asks you questions, and instead of answering, you say, that is a good question. Peggy, what have you learned so far about it? I'm curious. Who else in the team can help you with that challenge? It's coach skills. We're using also the concept of holistic communication is to make the team more whole, stronger and united. So when you use holistic communication, you want to involve the team as much as possible to solve things. You're more becoming like a facilitator here. Somebody asks a question, and you say, that's a good question, but I think Peggy knows about it. So Peggy, can you tell Diana what you have learned so far? So you're asking people to share their experiences, their solutions to each other. So you're facilitating that kind of communication. There are a lot of different techniques. They're very easy to learn. And for most managers, the challenge is to remember to use them, that you should not be the boss in the center. You are here to build a team. For example, somebody asks a question, instead of answering, you say, that's a really important question. How should we deal with that challenge? Let's explore together. In pairs, each pair, I would like to have one recommendation how we should deal with that. So it's 5 minutes in pairs, and then we gather together and see what kind of wisdom we have in our team right now. We call it holistic communication. If you use holistic communication as a manager, the wonderful thing is that for the first time, if you have been very busy managers, for the first time, you had a chance to move from being a busy manager to a strategic manager. It's going to be easy for you to observe the group dynamics because you're not the center of the universe. You can observe how the team works, who is outside, who do you need to include. And you can also take an easier step back on your platform because the team started to solve their problems. And some managers that are taking the training, they're really surprised how powerful it is. They're coming back to me sometimes and say, Thomas, it's really working. I've been gone for 2 days and the team is still working by themselves. The next thing that can be very important in challenging time because people maybe feel discouraged, they may not believe in themselves. It is for you as a manager to create an extra focus on having a culture of recognition and appreciation in your team. So we're going to go through some examples how you can do it. So I'm going to bring in Valeria here again.
And here I am.
Yes, my favorite employee. No, I shouldn't say that. But Valeria, I need to say something to you. I really appreciate that you're so open with your thoughts, your worries, and coming to me. It feels like you really show me trust, but knocking on my door. So I really appreciate that. So you know that, and I want us to continue to do that. What I did that, I was mirroring a quality, something I perceived in Valeria. When you do that, if you have the guts to do it, both to see the quality and put words to it, that increases the self-esteem in another person, and they may see themselves in a different light, which means improves their self-image.
Thomas, I really appreciated that you gave some time to me today and helped me to find a way forward in my priorities. I am leaving the room much more energized.
So Valeria appreciated something I achieved in that meeting. So when I get appreciated in achievements, it's going to increase my self-confidence. That I believe that I can reach the target that is set up for me. So Valeria, 2 weeks later now, do you know what? I'm noticing that you are prioritizing your own work situation by yourself. And compare with 2 weeks when you were stressed, you're coming to me the whole time about doing priorities, but now I see you can do it by yourself. You're making big progress.
Thank you.
Yeah. So if the manager can see progress and have the habit to put words to it, that stimulates further development. That's actually the biggest motivation factors for employees. That manager sees progress and put words to it.
And Thomas, I really appreciate the way you are handling our team. That you have in your the door open. You are. I know that you are very busy, but you are allowing time for us to talk to you. I think this is contributing for the well-being in our team. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that with me. That kind of recognition about my contribution, another person's contribution to the team or to organization, that makes the person feeling more part of a team and their work becomes more meaningful. So these are 4 different ways how you can appreciate and recognize team members. Most powerful is if you can let your team appreciate each other. It works. I've done it in lots of different ways, hundreds of times. I've done it with politicians in Sweden, right wing appreciating left wing, and different ways. So always create a very good atmosphere. So it just requires that you're trying it out and have the courage to do it in a very good way that create a really positive group dynamic that you need in challenging times. So that was the second lead skill. And the last lead skill, I suggest you do a team contract. So what is a team contract? It is conscious agreement about what kind of behaviors and attitudes do we want to have in our team. What do we need from each other to grow and support each other, for example, for the next 6 months? You spend something like 30 minutes or 45 minutes together with the team to come to agreement about maybe 6-8 different points, and then you hold on to these agreements. Give each other feedback if they're following these points, reinforcing them, review them. For some people, a team contract can be extremely important, especially for people who are more relational, that feel more safe because you know what you can expect from another person, what you can count on at different times. It's a way of minimizing isolation and insecurity that you constantly create this team contract. It's 45 minutes well invested time. So that was the third thing I suggested, a lead skill, to strengthen the team. So we have a little bit of time left. Yeah.
80 minutes left. Any questions that you would like to pose or any reflection? Please feel free to use the chat. It seems we don't have any questions coming in, Thomas. What we need to do differently in the current situation?
What we need to do differently? In this webinar, I was talking about different things that we can emphasize in our leadership, using the coach skills more. And I would say to do differently is to have the habit to challenge the team to take the ownership of the future. I would say that you should do that, maybe not differently, but very much, because you have the chance to take the team to the next level, to create this high-performing team that you've been dreaming about. That happens in challenging times.
We have some more questions coming in here. Thomas, let me check. Oh, we have many questions coming in now.
All right.
We have one here from Maria. Thomas, any situations when you should not use lead or coach?
I would say that when using manage skills then, in challenging times, you need to either set the target, the goal for where the team should be, like in 6 months time, 1 year time, or maybe you include a team to set the target, but you need to be extra firm on that one when people are getting a bit worried or a little bit wobbly. And when you use manage skills, then it is if you already know the answer. You cannot coach a person and hoping that, that the person will come up with your perfect answer. So if you really want something to happen, be straight. You can say like, well, I've been hearing different points of view and I decided we should go this way. So if you're very strong about something, then tell them this is my decision or this is my advice. Mm-hmm.
We have a question here also, Thomas, about the current situation that we are in with the corona, when we don't know when it will end. What is different in this situation? With this situation is that it includes the whole world and it's not clear when it ends. So hard to see how the new normal look.
I was maybe the new normal. If I go back to this one here, the team contract, I would say that, maybe you can answer 2 questions to help you to formulate the team contract. One is the first one, what kind of behaviors, attitudes do we need from each other in the team to grow and support each other? And the second question is that, how can we navigate together in the unknown? What do we need from each other to feel more secure and more comfortable being in the unknown? I think that's going to be a little bit more than new normal, because life is not as predictable as before. Then you need to develop the strengths to be more in the unknown and support each other to be there, to take step-by-step, more agile approach, I would say.
I was thinking on the same lines here about the frequency of the communication, because as we don't know, we cannot predict in a long-term perspective. Yeah. So this contract we might need to revisit it more often, maybe, to align to what is applying at the moment. Everybody's trying to do their best, but we need to correct as we go.
Yeah.
Another question here that I think many people have, it's around driving, managing, lead and coach in remote teams. What is different with remote?
What's the difference with remote? Well, since I've done it, I've been running a digital version of managing and coach. I noticed that I cannot ask open questions. For example, I cannot say, who has thoughts about how you deal with difficult customers? If I ask an open question, sometimes nobody answers the question. So I need to use names much more. I say like, well, John, I know you've been working with customers in US, So what is your experience? How do you deal with customers? So you need to name people much more. That's one trick. The second trick is to get people to reflect on each other. Like holistic communication. As I say, like, Niklas, when you heard John talk about how to deal with difficult customers in US, what is your experience? You've been in Asia a lot. What do you notice? What are your reflections on John's experience? To get the communication within the team, so you, as a manager, doesn't become the bottleneck.
You pass the ball a little bit around in the team then.
Yeah, because if you answer all the questions as a team leader, you will be the bottleneck and you will not get any group dynamic. So you need to be a little bit clever here. Good question, by the way.
We have 1 minute and one last question here. How to keep motivation in this COVID time?
Well, The question is that for you as a team leader or for your team?
I think, Thomas, I would say that I think for all of us, the motivation, I think one thing to think that we have each other and we talk to each other and we are trying to do initiatives. This example webinar, maybe talking to your team more often. We have just had a webinar the other day about some tips for managers when having teams, virtual teams. I think it's we need to find the motivation in ourselves and in our colleagues to support each other whenever we can.
I have an idea. Instead of focusing on the virus, focusing how can I grow as a leader through these times? How can I grow the team? How can I take them once for all to the next level as a team? Focus on that instead, and life will become easier for you. So let's just summarize here before we close the webinar. So some reminders, we will send them out to you too. When you develop individuals, use coach skills for empowerment, because challenging time will make people more disempowered. So coach skills can be very useful. When people are more emotional and thoughtful, acknowledge and mirror feelings. I see that you're anxious and worried. That's all you need to do, because emotions don't need to be fixed or solved. They just need to be acknowledged. And that's really important for engineers to remember. Express your beliefs in people. I believe in you. I believe in us as a team. We'll go through this challenge and even grow from it. And you can help the person to grow through these 4 rooms that change faster, especially using coach skills. Empower the team. We went through 3 different tools. The team contract, extremely useful. Many managers realizing can be useful, so you just need to do it. Holistic communication, so the team takes on ownership, engagement, and they will become motivated by themselves. You don't need to motivate the team in challenging times. It's the way you're working as a manager will create motivation. It's fantastic if you do that. And also develop a feedback culture in your team, that people appreciate each other, recognize each other, and you are the role model, and then maybe it can become a virus in your team that you are appreciating each other. And finally, it's about yourself, your self-management. And we have this concept of leadership platform that can be extremely useful. So you can be at your best, just like Winston Churchill said, when you're meeting external pressure, your team, you need to be at your best. It can also help you to step back and see the big picture, to see the strategic direction, even if it's very operational. And if you fall back, if you fall off, of course, get back directly. Find your unique way of doing it. And be authentic. And show trust to your team. All right, so some reminders. So Valeria, how should we close this, do you think, here?
Thank you so very much, Thomas, for sharing this information to us. Some reminders for the ones who took the Manage, Lead and Coach, but I think some new learnings for the ones who didn't join. Thank you so much.